Good evening. We are the Bitter Knitters. It is Wednesday, December 27th, 2017. Soon we'll have to say 2018.
Mm.
My name is Jacqueline. Ryan is here.
Yes, hello.
There's Cynthia. Who
Excuse me,
knows
my
who's
name
here?
is Cynthia Whitestone.
Okay. I never know who's going to show up.
It's always Cynthia.
Arthur's out with a friend, or who knows what he's doing. Having fun without us.
Yes, having a life.
Like he just didn't go away to Germany, and then he's going to leave us again. What the hell?
To our own accord.
Selfish much?
Well, it's actually, he is. He's the Grinch that stole Bitter Knitters.
Yes. So, how was your Christmas?
It was okay. It was okay.
It was okay.
A lot of very weirdly mixed emotions. By the way, guys, the listeners, Jacqueline and I haven't spoken, like a week? Yeah.
Since the last show.
Since the last show, we haven't spoken.
We've been busy, doing Christmas crap and shit.
Christmas stuff. Like, we haven't had, a moment to be, except for the little batch that I always do here and there.
Yeah, the odd little message in our chat room or whatever. Yeah.
Like, that's kind of the grasp of it. But I do want to talk about, if you would allow me, Jacqueline.
Oh, my God, maybe.
I kind of want to talk about what I have, since we're going to save a couple of really nice things for hopefully next week. I kind of want to talk about the culmination of this year for me.
Okay.
And I hope you're very proud of me because I'm going to talk about, the thing that I've been going through.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big step.
Yeah, big stuff. So this year, I think was both a really big negative, yet also a really big positive because, a little bit of background on Jacqueline and I, if people aren't familiar, we come from this world. Like, we've been doing podcasts for we've known each other for what, almost?
Yeah, we took a break for several years, but a long, long time, yeah.
Yeah, like 9 years, right? We've known each other for 9 years, I think, right? Is it 9 years?
I think 9 years.
Yeah, 9 years. And, we've been doing this for a while. We used to do it with somebody who, I'll mention his name. We used to do it with somebody named Chris, who's no longer with us, like he's dead, but no longer with us due to...
With our podcast, yeah.
With our podcasts.
He had his own personal things going on in his life, and he wasn't able to continue with
us. And, we wish him the best, and I hope that everything in his life is going very, very well.
Same here.
No shade on that to the listeners who are listening.
No.
But this year, and there was a point in time where Jacqueline and I weren't speaking, not because we had a fight, but because, life just took over. We were both very busy. Sometimes you drift apart
for a while and you're busy, yeah.
Very busy with work.
But when we would talk sporadically, it was always just like back to normal.
It was always like, hey, bitch. As always, back to
a real good friend you can always talk to, even if it's been 10, 20 years or, 2 minutes.
My good Judy, as I call her. Yes. And although her real name is Caitlin.
Jenner.
Okay. But this year was actually, the past 18 months has been a very tumultuous year for me. But I felt like the ending of last year going into this year was just a huge continuation of things upon things upon things, right? And I'm sure that people are smart enough to realize the things that I have been going through this year. I went through and I'm still kind of going through a very tough and messy divorce. At this point, though, it's more emotional than it is the actual divorce because, well, I checked and, I got curiosity always kills the cat, right? Like, you always think about things and curiosity kills the cat. I checked the index number and it was finalized.
So you're officially single.
I'm officially single.
You haven't received the papers yet, though.
No.
Do you have to sign them, or is it just done?
I think it's just done.
Okay.
And I'm officially single. I went through a divorce. I was married for a year. Whether it's unhappy or happy is irrelevant.
Yeah. Well, every relationship has happy moments and sad moments. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
And this, I feel like, is a very anxiety. My holidays were very anxiety ridden, because you're reminded as always of what goes
those old memories come up.
Yeah. And I was thinking, last year around this time I was so busy trying to get gifts and stuff like that, and now would be recovering from the holidays or whatever, going into New Year's, which is I call adult Christmas.
Yeah.
it's very anxiety ridden. And so, I'm very proud of myself to be able to talk about this on air because I don't talk about it.
Yeah, you couldn't even mention it many times.
Yeah. I've hinted here and there. I would make crude little jokes here and there about specific people, but I never once said, I'm going through a divorce, So it's official. I'm divorced.
I don't know if you want me to say congratulations, but,
I don't know either. I don't know.
This is what we can say. So it came at the end of 2017. Now 2018, you can start out fresh.
Yeah.
You'll always have those memories. You'll always have those emotions. You'll still feel sad or a little hurt sometimes when you think about it. But, you've come out the other side and now you can move on with your life.
Not the other side isn't a lesbian, but the other side is in single. That's what she makes people.
Yes.
I'm not a lesbian. There's still details that I refuse to talk about.
Yes. And you don't need to if you don't want to, right?
There are parts of it that I think a lot of people, and I have been thinking about this and I've been writing about this a lot lately. And this really, I kind of wanted to talk about it at the end of the year. And I hope a lot of people on YouTube who listen to us, or potentially later on, who, feel like they're going through something, can listen to this and learn something from it. Learn to be private about your situation. And this both applies to me and Jacqueline, because she knows who I'm referring to.
Yes.
Someone with a long beak. But learn to have your privacy in the moment and know that you don't need to make everything public affairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or for public consumption.
I had my moment where I went a little crazy. Anybody who knows me personally on Facebook or listen to this, I went a little crazy this year. Yes. I had a very public, messy breakup with some family members, and I don't regret it. Should it have been public? No. But I absolutely don't regret it, and I will say this has been the best Christmas of my life.
Yeah.
Honestly, 100% to God, I didn't stress the whole Christmas. I didn't worry about seeing people I didn't want to see.
Or cared enough to see.
Exactly.
I had said this last night to a friend, and it was a very good conversation. And I said, at some point in my life, you would prefer that I hate you than me be indifferent towards you. And they asked, well, why would that person rather? Because at some point I cared about you. Because if I am indifferent towards you, I don't care if you were burning on a stake.
Exactly.
I wouldn't spit on you. Like, I just don't care enough about you, and this is coming from a person who really does care about random people. But, we all go, breakups, divorces, they aren't just romantic. They could be familial. They could be,
absolutely. Friends.
Platonic. They could be platonic.
Friendships, right?
They don't have
lots of different reasons.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for it.
And heartache comes in all different shapes and forms, right? So.
And the biggest lesson that I think I have learned this year as a reflection was learning to care about me.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people think, when they think about, oh, well, you buy yourself things or you treat yourself.
Yeah.
That's not caring about yourself. You know what I mean? Like, it's really, truly caring about the person that you are and, taking time to protect yourself from different things. Whether you have a crappy job, whether you're in an unhappy marriage, whether you have family members you despise, lots of different things. Your health, whatever it is, love yourself, and try to put the best life that you can. Sometimes you can't change things, and you're stuck. Maybe you don't have an education, or maybe you just can't get a job for whatever reason. You got to watch your kids or whatever, And
learn not to, yes.
Yeah. Try not to shoulder the world. I think it's a problem that a lot of people have. They try to shoulder the world.
Well, because I do feel like for us, a similarity that Jacqueline and I share as friends, and I think one of the things that made us magnets to each other, and the good magnets, the one that actually stick together, not the polar opposites. Right?
Yeah.
The one that made us stick to each other because we learned was we were that, I call it the one in the family that has to, you know what I mean? That worried about this and that worried about that and that cared about this and tried to glue it together or whatever the case was. You know what
tried.
I mean?
I certainly saw myself in that way as trying to be the peacemaker in the family. But kind of it was like, you know what? I'm not making peace with people that don't want to make peace with us.
Peace with me, yeah.
And I will say that even though this has happened to my family and we're broken apart for some, it makes me appreciate my other siblings and my mother and my husband's family that much more.
Even more. Yeah. Well, for me, it's the same concept, right? Like I've learned to appreciate who the people in my life that I've really wanted to be around.
Yeah.
I've learned to care for them much more. For example, Jacqueline and I, up until March or April of this year, had not spoken for a good 3 years.
Like not on a real kind of personal. We had check-ins, but not like really deep emotional conversations.
It was, and it's not because we
surface stuff. No, we never had a fight.
It was just busy. Like I was busy with work.
Busy you were busy with your spouse. I had my kids. I went back to work. Yeah, you're just busy.
And all of a sudden, the tragedy had reminded me of who my real friends were. The people that, really do help you rebuild the structure that you once had. And for me, it was, and I appreciate that about, the people in my life, because I felt for a long time I couldn't have that.
Yeah.
And so
it doesn't matter. We could not talk for 10 years, Ryan. If you need me, I'll be there.
Okay, Mariah Carey. But
yes. Don't charge me. Don't try to make me pay for those songs. What I did sounded nothing. What I sang sounded nothing like that song. So that was the song.
But we are very much, we're very close friends. And Arthur and I had met this year, and he's a great guy. He's an amazing person as well. But we're all kind of recovering from something this year.
Yeah. And what's nice about this podcast? Mm-hmm. Arthur and I very rarely saw each other and very rarely spoke. And I feel like Arthur and I have like a really good relationship that didn't exist since he was a young boy. Mm-hmm. So, thank you to the podcast at the very least for that.
Since Jacqueline was a young boy as well, because, Jacqueline's transition from male to female happened, 5 years ago? Yes, about 5 years ago. And she still has a very hairy chin. And I forgive her for that, but it's okay.
I got razors for Christmas, so.
But this podcast really had brought all of us together.
Yeah.
Like these misfits, whatever you want to call ourselves, these misfits who had really just kind of had a lot of things to complain about all of a sudden now have a platform again to talk about these things and not feel as if we're attacking each other when we disagree or
yeah. Well, that was our number one when we started the podcast back up when we went with Arthur. It was like, never take anything personally. As long as you're not saying you're a dumb fuck, right? If you disagree with me on my politics or my opinion, I'm fine with that. So
I'm very, very happy that we are where we are.
Yeah, me too.
And we are, I'm a recovering divorcee. It's like,
you're a young divorcee in the city.
Yeah, so this is, oh my God, this is a new series. It's called.
You could write a blog, or you could write a book, like Helen Gurley Brown.
There goes my anonymity, bitch.
No, but remember Helen Gurley Brown and young girls. What was it? Girls' Guide to Sex, or whatever that was called.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This was a while ago. It was like 10 years ago?
60s. 60s. That was shocking in the 60s, right? A single girl's guide to sex, I believe it was called. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, the one thing my mom, I took my mom to the airport last night. She's going to visit the Philippines and she's vacationing. The one thing my mom had said to me throughout this whole process, that
was not my vibrator.
Could have been. The one thing that my mom had taught me throughout this whole process, though, has been moving forward is the only moving you can do.
Yeah.
And this isn't any situation. I find that at this time of the year, a lot of people really do feel very down.
Yeah, yeah.
And for multitudes of reasons, maybe it was a divorce, maybe it was a death in the family, or whatever.
That's what we talked about many times. An end of a relationship, whether it's an actual divorce or just a breakup, is like a death of a relationship, and it is. It's hard. It's hard for people to deal with that sometimes.
It's very, very sad. I'm finally talking about it. I kind of wanted to let people in my life and kind of talk about the things that I've been going through. There's still certain aspects I don't want to talk about in my personal life, just because I feel like it's not for safety reasons and for just for reasons in general. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. It starts with a D. I don't want to talk about that yet. In time, I'll finally reveal that, you know, hopefully when things are getting a little bit more calm.
We get a resolution to that.
Yeah, a resolution to it. And I'll talk about my struggles with it. And hopefully I can discuss it on a more personal level and people would understand. You would never guess from the way I speak, the way I act, the way I've integrated myself into the public, that I was a part of that. You know, and it's very shocking because they think lesbians. Jacqualine is a fucking lesbian. But it's also a very hot topic. If people are smart enough, it starts with a D.
Yeah, right? You can definitely figure it out.
Yeah, it starts with a D. It's a very hot topic that we have yet to touch on the show once. We've never spoken about it.
Its initials are not DT, by the way.
Not DT. Well, what's DT? Oh, no. Well, it has something to do with him.
Yes, but it's not specifically 45.
It's not specifically 45. It's a very big thing. It's something that, you know, not out of respect, we've chosen not to speak about.
Yeah.
Because it's something that's made me very anxious.
Yeah.
I'm still very
anxious. We didn't want to ever upset Ryan on air.
Mm-hmm. So it's hard to talk about things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's very personal to him and he's personally affected by him and other people in his family are as well.
Yeah, exactly. So. For the safety and for the privacy of their situations and their struggles, I don't want to have to discuss their parts as well in this. But this is kind of like a shadowing of who we are as people. You know, we're not just the ones that come on and make jokes about, oh, Jacqualine is, you know, a lesbian, or Ryan is a transsexual woman, and Cynthia Whitestone. We have personal lives that we live.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you know, we have personal lives that we live, and we do this show hopefully to shed light on topics that, first of all, probably aren't that popular to some people.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, yeah. But people can give us suggestions. Look, Sister Patty gave us a suggestion a couple times. I know our friend Retro Raccoon, who is always in the chat, she's also given us suggestions. So, I mean, if you give us a suggestion and we understand it, we'll talk about it.
We want to grow. You know, next year hopefully brings Bitter Knitters into a growth that we can both all be very happy about. This is something that we've wanted to launch for a while. Again, I think, you know, during the off times that Jacqueline and I weren't talking, we'd get into the moods of be like, oh, it'd be nice to start again and do this or whatever. And we tried to do multiple avenues of doing it. But, you know, we're on YouTube now, and YouTube's pretty popular.
You know, and it's so simple. Let me tell you, it's really simple. I press a button and everything's done. Like, that's it.
I will never figure it out because I'm not that techie when it comes to stuff like that. But tell me how to, you know, hide a camera to make something. I can do it. Hint, hint. But I can't do this. But this is something that's very exciting for us because we get to talk about the things that we feel like are important, things that maybe are ignored. You know what I mean? Do I get tired of constantly talking about fucking sexual harassment cases or rapists or pedophiles? Absolutely.
Of course we do. But it's sad that it's still happening. Yeah, but I mean, I comb and I try to find things that are interesting to me. And I hope, you know, I do provide most of the stories. But, you know, hopefully they're interesting to other people. And if you don't like them, you can always tell me, no, I don't want to talk about them. And that's what we do, right?
But hopefully even the story isn't the interesting thing to them. It's the commentary and the opinions that we offer behind it. We try to be as factual as possible. We really do. We try to be as factual as possible. But, you know, again, things change constantly. And sometimes you misread something at the moment and something new comes along. And we can only offer what we can at that moment.
The next show that we have, we're going to do, each person's going to do a top 10 list of, you know, what we haven't decided what they're going to be, but they're top 10 of 2017, you know, and we're going to do a Scientology show. I want to talk about Nestle, the corporation.
And there's a lot of things.
You know how I feel about Nestle. I'm definitely going to talk about them. And we're going to try to maybe do some interviews, get some people in here and do some interviews.
And and go back to what we were doing before, which was talking about, you know, books. We were talking about Broadway shows. We were talking about music and
all kinds of different things. We had TV actors. We had singers, like actual professional singers.
Not just me.
We had authors. We had stage. Yeah, exactly. I'm professional singer Jacqueline.
Well, some of the guests that we've had Danielle. What's her name? Angelology.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
The author of
Andrew
Angel.
Cole. I mean, he's not a household name yet, but let me tell you, he's got big things. He's got an album or a song he's been writing for several years. It's called "You Think I'm a Joke," and it's about bullying. And he's got Patrick Stewart, he's got Slash, he's got Paul McCartney, he's got a whole list of A-list people that are going to be on this album, and there's a companion movie with it. So he's going places. We had Jesse LaBelle, who's had top 10 hits in Canada. He's on the country charts now as well. So we had David Blue, that was on the show Stargate Universe.
SGU.
Yeah, I mean, a current actor. He was on a show at the time. It wasn't the hugest show, but for sci-fi nerds like me, it was a great show. So, we aim high. We aim high. We even tried to get Alyssa Milano, but Let me tell this story. It's so funny. So Ryan's sending out emails, and he's like, contacting Alyssa Milano's people, and he accidentally, I don't even know why he had this link. Ask him. He had a link, and he posted it in the message, and it was a link to a video or something about queefing.
Queefing.
I'm surprised we haven't been blacklisted and arrested.
We almost had Harry Shum that one time.
That's true. We almost
Harry Shum,
did.
who was on Glee at the time, and now going into a huge movie, a really highly anticipated movie, Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, that's right. He's in that movie.
He's in Crazy Rich Asians. Yeah. He's playing Charlie Wu. I'm not going to ruin the book and the movie for.
And we had Jonathan Waugh. If you guys don't know who he is Patrick Waugh's son, very famous Canadian goaltender, and his son is a singer-songwriter and mostly in Quebec, but he does tours in Canada. Yeah, so we've had some different types of people.
Yeah. We've had she's no longer on YouTube. She used to do makeup reviews. Pinky Charm.
Yes, Sister Patty says get Jason Momoa. Oh, yeah, I wish I could get me some Jason Momoa.
Yeah, I wish I could have him inside of me right now. Jason Momoa. Okay, him and Henry Cavill and Jonathan Rhys Meyers.
My husband Idris Elba.
Yes, all of them inside of me, all at the same time. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so let's go on, because I have a story. I can't wait to hear your reaction to the story, Ryan, because I know it's going to be amazing. There's a story that came out. Now, this is old. This is from last week or the week before. December 21st, it was reported on, about a 4-month-old baby who was just innocently sleeping in his bed. I think the mother put it in her bed. And a raccoon got in their house or lived in their building somewhere and literally dragged the baby off the floor and started to chew on its head. 4-month-old baby, a raccoon in their house. Aren't you afraid of raccoons?
I'm afraid of anything.
That's true.
But
can you imagine?
No, that's creepy.
The mother takes it, because the mother put it on the bed, and she took her 6-year-old into the bathroom, right? And she comes out, and the fucking raccoon's dragging her baby away.
And this is why you need to be very careful. I never knew. I've lived in New York for a very long time, by the way. I never knew that in New York City there were raccoons.
Oh, yeah, there is.
And it wasn't until I had moved last year with my now ex-husband into our apartment, and there was a trap right the house next door.
Right.
A trap. And I was like, why is there a trap? And he's like, just be very careful with the dog. Our dog's name was Chubbs. Be very careful with Chubbs because, I don't want him to get into the trap. I said,
yeah.
But why is there a trap, right?
Yeah.
It was a raccoon.
Yeah. Well, and think for every one raccoon you see, there's
15.
10 you don't see.
Yeah.
We have a raccoon that lives in the garage. Like there's a garage attached to our not attached, but on our property. The landlord keeps his stuff in it, so we don't really have access to it. But the raccoon comes out and then just basically lives in our garbage bin and eats all the garbage in there, and then goes back into his shed. Fucking raccoons, fat as shit.
But it's crazy because in New York, you don't really think about these critters, these animals, these beings being out and about on the street. You know what I mean? Like they're not the first thought that pops into your head. And that's really scary to have that in your house.
Well, it's scary because you don't know if it's got rabies. So, and they haven't been able to catch the raccoon. Apparently, the building has an infestation of raccoons, which is scary to me. Really scary. An infestation of raccoons. That's just not like a couple babies up in the attic.
The only raccoon I want is a raccoon fur coat.
Okay. Oh, that's awful. No fur coats.
Well, too bad. I like them. But you can donate them all to me. But it's creepy. Again, you have to be very careful with your house. Sometimes leaving a window. I like to sleep with the window open because our heater is very strong. and I will die of like, melting because my heaters are overhead. And so they blow on you.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to have the window open, and I am being afraid. Squirrels, raccoons, mosquitoes,
Let me tell you, one
spiders.
time in my old house, we were sitting there, and it was like nighttime. So it's when I lived with my sister-in-law, and she was sitting there with me or watching TV. And my husband came home with a friend from work because he was coming to pick something up. I can't remember. And so the friend from work is just kind of standing in the entranceway, and I see, because we had our window open, but we didn't have a screen on it. I see a little mouse crawling on the windowsill, but I didn't want him to think we had a mouse infestation. So I'm just sitting there, not saying anything, and I see my sister-in-law sees it. She's looking at me, and we're like freaking out. And as soon as his friend left, I'm like, oh my God, there's a mouse in the house. I'm so scared of mice.
Me too. Oh my God.
I had to leave the window closed because we were in a big field and there was forest right behind us. So I'm not surprised the mice didn't come in earlier, but ugh.
Well, I have a very scary story about rats.
My God, no.
I was pooping one time.
Don't say the toilet.
The toilet. Worse.
Oh my God. Okay, go on.
Worse. I was pooping and I was almost done. And I heard the trash can, which is literally right next to me, ruffling.
Oh my God. I would have ran out with shit on my ass.
Yes. And out pops. Oh my God. The screams.
At least it didn't bite your butt or something in the toilet.
I know. Well, thank God. Thank God. Well, that's possible apparently, but it's like a 99% chance it won't happen, but it's still possible.
But still, there's a possibility it's still possible.
It's still fucking creepy. And then, I'll never forget with one of our old shows, we were both on the air and moths at the same time flew in.
Oh my God.
And we started just screaming.
I'm afraid of moths. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Sorry. When our summer shows start and moth gets in, you will hear me screaming.
Almost anything that comes in will have me screaming.
Yeah. Did you guys have possums in New York City?
I've yet to see a possum. No.
Okay, so I've never seen one alive with my own eyes, but many years back, we were walking to my mother-in-law's house and we saw a dead animal on the side of the road. And we're like, holy cow, that is a possum. We weren't aware they were up here, but apparently they've come up north because we're getting warmer and warmer. And they're all over the city, but because they're like really stealthy and shy, you won't see them. So I'm sure you have them. If we have them in Toronto, you have them in New York.
I have yet to see one. I don't want to see any. They're very fucking ugly.
They're so ugly looking. Oh my God.
They're so ugly. They literally look like enlarged rats, and rats are big. So an enlarged rat is not cute. Okay?
And it just has an ugly face. Like, I don't want anything bad to happen to possums, but they really have scary, especially when they open their mouths, they have really scary little faces. So. And I'm an animal lover, but I don't like that creature.
I love
animals.
A gross,
long, ugly tail too. No.
I love dogs. I love elephants. I am an elephant. I love whales. But anything, like, I can never swim in the open sea. Oh my God.
No fucking way. And then I just was looking at an infograph yesterday of like all the creatures in the sea and the biggest ones. And I'm just like looking at all these creatures and I'm like, I even fucking stood up to my vagina in water. What the hell? Something
like I would. I don't understand. People ask.
By the way, let's just say this: Sister Patty went naked swimming in the ocean when we were down east this summer.
Oh my God!
And a man who was just swimming by doing his morning exercises or evening exercises literally stopped to stare at her. So, way to go, Sister Patty! You got to do one of your bucket list dreams, and you
show everybody your
made a stranger man pretty excited. So, congratulations.
She got nothing on my body, honey. Okay, Sister Patty, you can't compete with this.
Now, I have a story I want to talk. Now, I got for myself and my husband and my son the Ancestry DNA kits for Christmas.
Yes.
So my husband and I have sent ours away. Logan has not spit in his cup yet to send away, but he'll do it, today or tomorrow. But a story came out yesterday. I saw it trending on Facebook, and it was like one of those like crazy stories you can't believe actually happened. So this guy did it doesn't explain how he was adopted or what happened, but he didn't know any of his birth family, right? So he did the DNA test, hoping he would find something. And when the results came in, he got a match saying that he had a brother, right? And the brother turned out to be his best friend of 60 years. How freaky is that?
I believe that what you are trying to find is always right there.
It
in front
certainly
of
can
me.
be. That it's so crazy, that story.
Well, it's very interesting because you and I both have the kind of, at least on my dad's side of the family. Oh, same for you. It's dad's side of the family. We don't really have a
very
lot of,
mysterious.
it's very mysterious. There's a lot of things that I don't know about my dad's side of the family. I've yet to find out anything about my dad's side of the family. Like, I told you the big thing this year was like, we don't know if one of his sisters is actually from the first marriage or the second marriage. It's very messy.
Yeah.
I wish I could do this, but I mean, I'm probably going to find out that I'm related to fucking, oh my God, I was about to mention a name I don't ever want to mention, that I'm related to fucking King Kong or some shit like that. I have that kind of.
You have the same hairy chest.
Yes. Excuse me, I'm a woman.
That's why you have a hairy chest. No, but I mean, I know nothing. I found out that my cousin on my father's side, she's doing one too. So, we'll be able to compare results and maybe narrow down where my dad's side comes from. My biggest hope is that I find a family member on his father. We don't know who his father's is. If we can find a father's family member,
that would be fabulous.
We can narrow it down. That's my biggest hope. And I wouldn't be surprised if we find a sibling or maybe two, because my dad was a man whore.
That would make me cry.
A big possibility. I do have a sibling. My father never really got to be in his life. And,
so whoever you are out there,
50 plus years ago, he's out there somewhere. Maybe we'll find him.
Whoever you are, I hope you can, find Jacqualine. Because I have the same situation. I have a brother who I've never met.
Yeah.
My brother would be 22 years old, 22, 23 years old. Only thing I know about him is his name is Joshua.
And hopefully one day you'll get to reunite with Joshua.
Yeah. I don't know if he's living a good life.
Even if it can only be online, hopefully he's living a good life. That's all you can hope for.
Yes, exactly.
You can't control it, so you can't feel guilty if he's not. But
he could be closer than I think. He could have been the guy I was making out with last night.
Oh my God.
I know.
He could have been your best friend for 60 years.
For 60, excuse me. Excuse me. I'm sticking to 19. I'm only 19.
Yeah. You stick there, girl. You stick there.
But those things are very interesting. I mean, can you imagine having had this friend that you've known for 60 years and all of a sudden just finding out that's
mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing how things work. Now, they grew up in Hawaii, and even though Hawaii is a small state, there's still hundreds of thousands of people there.
Well, we all have heard of the term needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
Like, you could be in the smallest thing, but if you're really trying to find something that is hiding in plain sight, am I using that correctly?
Yeah, hiding in plain sight, yeah.
You won't be able to find it.
You don't expect it there either.
Oh, of course. I don't. Go ahead. Sorry.
I should say I watched a TLC has a show called Long Lost Family where they reunite birth families usually, right? And there was a story, but I want to say it was Buffalo, New York. But they were, the lady's living there and she's looking for her birth mother. They find her, they work in the same hospital together. They've talked to each other in passing, like, hey, how's it going type of thing.
Yeah.
But mother and daughter were working in the same hospital. And, you know what I mean? And knew each other. Isn't that insane?
Yes.
Well, it's a crazy small world.
I know somebody specifically in my family who had found out that the person that they were not necessarily like friendly with, acquaintances with, was a cousin of an aunt that they thought they never had.
Yeah.
That was like a profound moment for them. Is like, oh my, there were a lot of tears.
Yeah. Well, and it comes, I watched Finding Your Roots, which is on PBS, and they had celebrities. And I can't remember who's the celebrity. I want to say it was LL Cool J, but I'm not positive, so don't quote me. But they did the DNA test on his mother, right? And they found out that her father, who she thought was her father, was not.
Yeah.
And then her father was a traveling musician, and she found her sister that way. She found it through the show that she had a different father or grandfather. Maybe it was grandfather, but whatever it was, they found their siblings that way. It's just crazy what DNA can do.
And it's a very, very strong thing that, it's funny how the simplest thing like spit or a piece of hair can lead you to something that you've never thought you would be led to before. And I wish that this had existed during the time that I had a little bit more money, I was a little bit more well off, because I would like to find my brother. Honest to God, I would like to find my brother.
In the future, maybe you'll be in a better position and you could maybe hire even a private investigator in the Philippines to help find him.
To help find him. And hopefully, even if you're listening to this weird out of sight podcast, I hope that I can find you somewhere. It's weird because when you have so many unanswered questions, as I always say, you can't really rest easy at night.
Exactly.
It makes you think and this is what stopped me from dating Asian men for the longest time.
Yeah. I get that. It makes sense.
You know what I mean? It's like, as much as he supposedly he looks exactly like my father, and my father's not really Asian, still there's this kind of thing that I'm like, I don't know if that's my brother.
No, I get it. I watched a documentary on a guy who was a sperm donor and his children trying to find him. And one girl said, she goes, I only date Latin American men because I'm worried that I might come across a sibling. And this guy has like in the hundreds of children. They chose his sperm. And, it's crazy. I could definitely see being afraid to date somebody. I'd be like, how were you born? Who's your parents? Are they your parents? Were you a sperm donor child? You'd want to know the whole family medical history.
It'd be very fucking creepy. It'd be very creepy to have that happen to you because...
Yeah. And it's happened. We've seen cases in the Daily Mail and stuff where, siblings or aunts and uncles, or there's one where a mother and son came in contact with each other and now they're doing it. Yeah, it's gross. So, I mean, weird stuff happens.
It happens all the time. It happens all the time. Yeah. Well, but be safe. As I always say, my God, hopefully you don't get pregnant by your fucking brother. That'd be creepy as fuck.
Oh, my God.
Imagine the love of your life being your brother. Oh,
Flowers in the attic.
Oh, my God.
Remember that book? Yeah.
It's creepy. I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, doing a DNA thing, if you could afford to do it, it's even interesting sometimes.
Watch for the sales. I know it's not super cheap, but I mean, they had sales over Black Friday. I'm sure they'll have more coming up. I know in the States, I think they were only $50.
It's not bad. $50 is not bad.
That's decent. I paid, I think, $70 or $79. I know I saved $50 per kit. So
when are your results coming in? Hopefully.
Well, I don't even know if they past the border yet because it was Christmas time, right? And I know coming into Canada, they were held up at the border for a long time. So, and I imagine with Christmas and with a lot of people buying the kits, I saw a lot of friends buying the kits this Christmas. So maybe that will delay results coming. It's supposed to be 6 to 8 weeks. So hopefully by the end of February, we'll know. I definitely talk about my results on air if they're not super traumatic.
Yes. Well, there was a point, I remember you and I were on, this was a while back. Years ago, we were on Ancestry.com. You had bought a membership.
Yeah.
And we thought Jacqualine was Croatian.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, well, my family always said, my grandma always said we were Ukrainian. They spoke Ukrainian. But the thing is that back then, borders were quite different. Yeah. So on my great-grandfather's death certificate, he's listed as Austrian. And then I saw a crew manifest or a passenger manifest that I thought might be him, listed as Croatian. So I was never able to resolve that thing. I never applied it to our family because I wasn't sure. But you could still be Ukrainian and living in what would be considered Austria, right? Because Austria, Hungary, and the Kaiser had a lot of property back then. So who knows? If it can pinpoint me to a smaller town, then I'll know where we come from, which would be amazing.
Well, for me, this year, the other thing that I had found out was I have an aunt I told you this, in Australia.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you never heard about her.
You never heard about her. I always thought there was my Aunt Carmen, my Aunt Serafina, and then my uncle, I don't know his real name, and then Victor, and then my dad. I thought it was just that, but apparently there's another aunt.
Isn't it crazy how in this day and age, like I know 70 years ago, people moved away and they drifted apart.
Yeah.
I understand that. Even like my own my own generation, I'm much older than you. Even, you know, I can kind of understand that sort of losing family. We came from a family of lost family, right? On both sides, lost family. I understand that. But coming into the age of 2017, you still see there's so much lost family, that lost contact.
And the thing, this crazy part is Jacqueline and I are both at an age where you should have just a little bit more of an idea of who your family really is. I mean, I know I'm kind of comfortable with my mom's side of the family. I kind of know what I need to know about them and the depth that it needs to be. But my dad's side of the family is just a blunder of blurs, because it's, you just, the moment you make a left or a right, you're met with a dead end.
Yeah.
You know, and like when that aunt thing was uncloaked for me, I guess, I was like, oh my God, like when did that happen?
Family member nobody ever talked about. It's so shocking. And I will say this about ancestry, it was expensive. It is expensive, but I got to be in touch with family I never thought I would get to. And I won't say I'm super close to them, but they invite us up to things. We chat on Facebook.
And hopefully
when I'm around them, it's going to grow and grow. But when I'm around them, I feel very relaxed and comfortable.
Yes.
It's not awkward. So that to me is a big thing, you know?
It leads you to something, you know, sometimes you just have to have a little bit of faith in whatever it is that you feel like, you know.
And it was scary sending that first message to them. I'm like, what are they going to say?
Because rejection.
I always think people think I'm trying to get money out of them.
Oh, and the rejection part too, right?
Yeah.
The rejection part.
Yeah.
Every day, and I was doing this at work, and it's funny that we're talking about this. Every day I do this, especially when I'm at work. I got curious today. I was feeling really kind of down. My mom had she's probably landing in the Philippines anytime soon.
Oh, she's gone to Philippines? Oh, nice for her. Enjoy
She
your
left
trip.
last night. Yeah. I was checking, you know, Facebook, and I was looking for you-know-who, my brother.
Yes.
And it just, like, my heart would beat at every single photograph. And I would be like, it could be you, it could be you, it could be you, this could be him. You know, it could be any one of these people.
And you're not really at the stage with your family that you could send out a mass post, you know?
Post and be like, does anybody know?
Because that would hurt family.
My dad, you know, a lot of people talk about old school generations and how they kept secrets. I mean, we're talking like really, really big secrets.
Yeah.
My dad's side of the family had followed that rule forever. You know, like, you stayed married even though you were unhappy.
Well, that's Catholics, right?
That's Catholic, exactly. Super, super Catholics. My dad just, again, never mentioned his aunt. You would think he would know his sibling at least. Never mentioned his aunt.
At some point, he'd be like, oh, I have a sister, you know, Victoria.
Yeah, or whatever her name was.
Like, because she's just like, oh, what are, you know, because, I mean, my kids always be like, what are our aunties' names again? Like, when they were little and they couldn't remember the names.
But it was never mentioned.
So
it just wasn't. And I don't have the kind of relationship with my father to go and approach him and ask, you know, who's this, who's that, blah, blah, blah. What are the details that you know that you can share with me?
Well, it's because you kind of know he's one of those people that doesn't like to talk about those things. So
exactly.
Approach him.
It's funny because I find that my parents are a complete balance of each other. They're so polar opposites. Mom is the kind of person that likes to revisit. Dad is all about moving forward, to the point where sometimes he would probably move forward from his own children. It's like completely moving forward. Yeah. Where my mom is, she has a sentimental attachment to a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm kind of the in-between of my mom and my dad.
That's me too.
I find where I have the balance of with my dad, like, just when I move forward, I completely move forward. Jacqueline knows this about me. She's known me for almost a decade now. And if I'm attached for good. It's weird. I have that weird thing about me. And so it's funny how with my father, he always says, what's the point of talking about it? It's not going to change anybody's life. Well, it doesn't matter whether it changes anybody's life. I want to know.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I have a right to know.
Because where did it come from? Another history, another family lore, you know?
That I'm not fucking sleeping around with my brother. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the other thing too, right?
Because you don't know if he ended up coming here. You don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah, you don't know anything. You know, for example, Jacqueline's brother could be literally hiding in plain sight.
Exactly.
2 blocks away from her.
Yeah,
and
you
it's
never
like,
know.
What are you gonna? You know what I mean? It's those things sometimes that make you feel really sad, because it's like you just want to feel like you're a part of something. You know, knowing Jacqueline's history a little bit and her having had shared stories with me, I know what it's like to not feel like you belong anywhere.
Yeah. And it was like, I can't speak for all my sisters, but I know from my sister Patty and I kind of had the same sentiment. It was kind of like, you know, like we were like, even though my family was very tight-knit growing up, my dad was all about family. Our immediate family was very tight-knit, but we weren't close to my grandparents. We didn't know anybody on my mother's side.
There was a reason.
We kind of did feel like we were orphans. You know what I mean? And so when we finally got in touch with our cousins, we were like so excited and overwhelmed. And they were the same thing. They didn't know any of the cousins from my dad's side. So, you know, they knew cousins from their mother's side, but not from their father's side. So
you see a pattern.
It's exciting, you know, and it's like, it's overwhelming.
It's almost breathtaking to know that it's possible to find who you're trying to find.
Yeah.
If you really look hard and close enough, you'll be able to piece everything together. I do find that everything that is in the dark eventually will come to light. You know, and this is also something that you found way after your father had, you know, passed.
Yeah. My family, my cousins that I know now, they didn't even know about my father until after he had passed. So my dad lived almost 50 years, and they never knew about him until afterward.
His existence,
his existence.
So
I in some ways I wish my grandmother was still alive so I could confront her and ask her questions, but in other ways I guess I'm glad I'm not, because it's not nice to yell at an old woman. So,
well, I never met my grandfather, so whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, it is what it is, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm super excited to see what comes from the DNA. I'm super excited to see Logan's results, because it's like, even though he's a combination of Logan and I, or Scott and I, what's that combination going to turn out to be? When I can get Marley's done, to see how close she is to Logan will be interesting too.
Imagine if Marley's not really your daughter.
Well, that would be weird, because
that'd be weird. Well,
Scott was there from the minute she came out.
Listen, I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't have any proof of this.
And she kind of looks like me. I mean, I don't know, but
kind of is. There's still a possibility, an opening. Well, actually, you just brought up something that's very interesting. My father was also there for the birth of. He watched every minute of all of us being born.
Yeah.
But it's weird, because there's a story that my mother always tells about their wedding. The first wedding, which was the civil wedding at the courts. And my mom was saying, and this will kind of piece everything for you. This, by the way, this thought just came to me right now. My mom always said, your dad was so pushy. He always said to the judge, are you sure that this is real? This isn't a sham marriage? You know what I mean? Or whatever. And it wasn't until I found out this year that my dad and his siblings were bastards. That it finally made
illegitimate.
Yes.
So he wanted to be sure everything was right.
Yes.
He didn't want you guys to be raised the same way. Because I'm sure in the Philippines there was kind of a stigma against that.
Oh, of course. Well, it was Philippines.
Especially in that time. I mean, even back in your dad's time in North America would have been, you know, a stigma.
A stigma. Well, you know, you just didn't have children out of wedlock.
Yeah.
It wasn't allowed. It was, you know, the secret of shh. You didn't know that your brother really was your son. You know, kind of a situation sometimes. Like, they would hide that from you. And my dad was so pushy about, you know, making sure that they were really actually married.
Well, I will say, I had to order my my wedding license when I went to get my driver's license. The thing I thought was my wedding license all that time was not. So I ordered it, and I was kind of nervous. I was like, what if the minister never sent it away? Because here the minister sends it away.
Yeah.
And I was like, what if he never sent it away? And all these years, Scott and I have not been married. Because you kind of get that fear for a second, right?
Oh, yeah, because it was the same thing in the Philippines. This is super back in the old days, right? Like, where you had to mail it after you got married. You had, I think, like 30 days for the validity.
They don't send you anything to be like, congratulations, you're married. So you don't know if they ever got it.
Because imagine if you never...
But I don't think I would have married him again. I mean, I love him to death, trust me, but it's so much... I didn't even really care about the wedding, to be honest. I was having Logan, and I was more excited by that than the idea of the wedding. I wanted to go to City Hall, but he wouldn't let me. So I don't think I would have probably just went to City Hall and did it again, and that's it. But I wouldn't have done a big to-do.
A big to-do. Well, it's weird. My parents' wedding anniversary, their 32nd just happened. Yeah. that just happened this year, 32nd wedding anniversary, actually this month, 32nd wedding anniversary. They've always wanted to, well, their marriage is real, but
yes, do it again.
They want to do it again.
Yeah.
It's funny how my dad is the one that's being pushy about it still, but my mom is the one that's like, oh, we're already married. Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
They run into a lot of problems because it's not that they don't recognize.
That's kind of sweet. It's kind of romantic on your dad's part, eh?
But my mom is like, oh God, because I'm the same way with my mom, where it's just like, oh my God, it's already done. Fuck off. Like, who cares? Move on.
I like that. And other people kind of like that. You know, you want to declare your love still.
It's funny because when my dad was, you know, my dad didn't want to get out of the car yesterday when we were dropping off my mom at the airport, but you can tell
he
probably would, you know, because he wanted to see, you know, he wanted to be around my mother, and you know, they really do appreciate and adore each other heavily. But again, at the same time, you know, my mom likes to visit her own family.
Yeah, it was a long time that she couldn't. So now that she can, that's wonderful. Exactly. I don't blame her.
And I will say, I think partly of it, or part of it, is that my dad's somewhat jealous that she can go home and find family easily.
Yeah.
He cannot do that.
Yeah, it makes sense, right?
You know, he has siblings that, you know, from his father's first marriage, or actual real marriage, because he was never divorced, right?
Yeah.
That he will never know. He will never know. I probably have cousins I don't know about.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I have cousins I don't know. They could be fucking president of, you know, Zimbabwe for all I know. I just don't know these people. And it's hard because there comes a point, I do believe, in your life, whether it happens at this age, you know, the tender age of 19 for me, or the ripe old age of 89 for Jacqualine, where you want to solve the questions that you've had hanging over your head for such a long time. And
absolutely,
time is your biggest enemy in a lot of things. And this goes kind of 360, going into the the first thing we were talking about. It's time is not something that you can force to happen. It just does.
Yeah. And I mean, you think about the older people in your family who might know the stories, right? You know, they're only getting older and closer to death, right? To death,
yeah. Well, my grandfather's 93. Yeah, 93. Yeah. And so imagine like how much or how many secrets he's got that we don't know about.
Yeah, he knows a lot, I bet you. Does he go on the computer, Ryan?
Not anymore. He used to be very savvy, actually. Not anymore.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, not anymore.
Can't be bothered, or is he getting just too old?
Yeah. Getting he's kind of I don't know. I don't want to say it. Oh, God, I make it sound like he's getting very, very old. And we all know where we are. You're not there
to know, so you're getting stories from other people and stuff. Yeah.
But that's also the other part about family lores is you don't know how skewed it's been because it's been passed on for so long.
Same. You know, my grandmother, she told us growing up a name that was our original Ukrainian name. I can't remember how we pronounced it or what it was supposed to be, but it started with a U. My cousin who went and spoke to my grandmother before she died has a different name, 2 different names. She said that we were chased out of the Ukraine for being horse thieves, and that our ancestor was the last man killed and executed in Canada or Toronto. I looked it up, and the last name was not a Ukrainian name. I don't know. So I feel like there's a lot of maybe false storyloods going on as well.
Well, it happens a lot. That's the really sad. Happens a lot. A lot of people, sometimes they would lie just to kind of hide the identities that they need to hide.
The truth, because maybe the truth is far too upsetting or horrific.
Oh my God.
Right? Like I do think, and especially some of these old time people, you know, who knows? I always felt like my family had Jewish in us. We'll see if that comes to pass with this DNA test. But I could easily see people, because at the time, being a Jew in Eastern Europe was pretty horrible. This is even before World War II and the concentration camps. You know, there wasn't jobs. They were beaten. You know, it was pretty bad to be a Jew in Europe for a long time. I could easily see people trying to escape that life and taking on a new personality when they got to Canada.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you can't you can't avoid the fact, and eventually it may not be you, it may be the next generation after you that'll find out the truth. Me personally, I don't have any children. I don't plan on having any children.
Yeah.
And again, with my luck, I'd have 10 somewhere around the world. You know what I mean? But if I can't find out certain things, I hope that maybe my niece would continue. Because so far, from my mother and my father's brood, there's only one, which is my niece. And I don't know if, my other sisters would like to...
The family princess, yes.
Yeah. If they would like to continue and they would like to have kids on their own. But for now, it's just my niece. Bless you. Who's there? I hope. The thing is also, it's funny how life mirrors the past, right? She's coming from a very broken home.
Yeah.
She has siblings that hopefully she can have relationships with.
I just had a thought. Doing this DNA test, right? This could even lead me to cousins on my grandmother's side.
Yeah.
That could maybe lead me to a family name of some sort, right?
Of some sort, yeah. An actual name.
Yeah. Interesting. It should be interesting.
Well, we look forward to this, hopefully the viewers, follow us on this and appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll definitely be, we'll be doing our own version of Who Do You Think You Are, Finding Your Roots, Long Lost Family. We'll be doing it all.
That's hopefully the plan for the next coming years, that we can grow out the podcast and make it hopefully more interesting for everybody.
Listen, if you guys have ideas, we're open to any ideas. If you have an idea or maybe somebody you want to talk to, like if you know an author or, an up-and-coming singer, rapper, songwriter, somebody, we'll definitely take a look at trying to get them on the show. So share with us.
I would love to talk about a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'd love to, first of all, I'm a bookie. I love books. Love to talk to
I've been bad. I have not read a book in a long time. And I used to read all the time.
I try to read a book every 2 weeks.
Oh, I need to get back into that.
Try. But it's hard.
There's so much shows I have to watch. This is the problem. Oh, no. TV is sucking up my fucking life.
I'm not that's where we're opposites. Yeah. I'm not this. I'm not a TV
you don't watch
person.
A lot of shows. Yeah.
Like the last show I watched was Scandal. Scandal. And I think I'm a season behind on Scandal.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's all about really I watched.
Oh my gosh. I have so much shows. It's crazy. Oh, you watched 13 Reasons Why?
I liked it. It's very
She's kind of a psychotic bitch, though, to do that.
Well, I would probably do the same thing just to be dramatic, Jacqueline.
You'd probably just kill them in their sleep.
What? Who? No. Well, no, because I don't want to go to jail. So I would rather just kill myself. Imagine being in jail your whole life? No.
So next week we'll be back on Monday, as long as I'm not scheduled to work. I don't know yet. Monday will be the holiday. So we'll probably have Hungover Arthur and possibly Ryan. I don't know what I'm doing yet for New Year's Eve.
I'm off. Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll do something and we'll look for our top 10 list, figure out what we're going to top 10. And I want to say happy birthday to my nephew Lucas, who has turning 16 on Friday.
Happy birthday.
Sweet 16, Lucas. And that's it. Have a great week.
Happy birthday, baby Jesus.
And and have a good one. Bye.